How can Israel be unbelieving and under a curse, according to Romans 9:3, and still retain the privileges that are listed for them in verses 4 and 5? This is confusing to many, and the reason that it is because we approach Scripture as if it is systematic theology, which it is not. We look at Scripture as if it is static, and we don't understand that there is historical movement and transition in Scripture. When Paul wrote his words in Romans 9, he was still in the midst of his synagogue ministry, and he would announce the fulfillment of the promises to the covenant people. We can imagine him using words like what we see in the opening verses of Romans 9. Paul would speak in the present tense, and he would say things like, "Brethren, these covenants that God made with us and the promises of the covenants are ours. They belong to us. Therefore, I appeal to you, embrace the fulfillment of all these things through our Messiah, because they are ours. But I also warn you, if you don't listen, then the curses of the prophets will come upon you." And from that time on, Paul might quote prophecies of judgment like what we see from in Acts chapter 13 from the book of Habakkuk, and what we see in Acts 28 from the book of Isaiah chapter 6. As Paul worked in this historical situation, he was always appealing to his kinsmen on the basis of their current historical identity as the covenant people of God, but also warning them of impending judgment when they resisted and became hardened. This is why he prayed for their salvation, in hope that the salvation of the Gentiles would move them to jealousy, that their hardening would lift, that they would embrace their Messiah and be regrafted into the olive tree. Paul spoke of Israel as still retaining covenant blessings while speaking of impending judgment. When we read Romans 9 in its historical setting, the theological problems disappear.